Hey, let's keep the Star-Spangled Party rolling here on the U.S. Report this 4th of July. Joining me now is editor-at-large of the Wall Street Journal, Gerard Baker. Gerard, thanks so much for joining me. And we've got to talk about the big news, which is the big, beautiful bill, which was finally passed by the House. Now, as I said at the start of the show, there's a lot to like in there, but a lot of stuff to be concerned about, too. But put this in a bigger context. This has been a remarkable first 6 months for the second term of Donald Trump, hasn't it? I mean, nobody would have thought this was coming at the start of this administration.
James, well, thanks for having me. You're absolutely right. I mean, it has been an extraordinary 6 months. And think about it in these terms, James. Australia has a parliamentary system. The United Kingdom has a parliamentary system. Most democracies do have a parliamentary system in which, when a government gets a majority, it can basically do pretty well what it likes. The United States, as you well know, system is very different. It's not a parliamentary system. It's a divided system of government where they elect the president and the members of Congress completely separately. Typically, that means that, those two branches of government, very hard to get them on the same page. And even when a president has a majority of his own party in the Senate and the House of Representatives, very rarely is he able to just get through pretty much everything he wants. This president is really proving to be an extraordinary exception. This bill, the Big Beautiful Bill Act, which, as you say, I'm speaking to you Thursday evening here in New York. It passed just a few hours ago, Thursday afternoon, by the way, in time for Donald Trump's own sort of personally imposed deadline of July the 4th. It is a massive bill. As you say, there's lots of things that one may not like about it, but it's a huge permanent tax cut for both corporate, on both the corporate and the personal side. It contains really significant cuts in spending, particularly in some welfare programs, big increases in spending for defense and for border security. It adds to the debt significantly. But again, overall, James, it's one of the most significant pieces of domestic legislation passed in the United States in the last 20 or 30 years. And it's been achieved with very small majorities in both the House and the Senate. And it just speaks to Donald Trump's extraordinary political authority, which I think, again, in the last 30 or 40 years or so is just unprecedented.
It is unprecedented, and I don't think we've seen, a president, certainly since Watergate, who's been able to impose that sort of power and will, on the whole system. But I want to know then, now, what is the next step, though? What is the next step for this administration? Because having used a lot of political capital to get this very big thing through that sweeps away a lot of the Biden program and even a lot of the Obama program away, is the next shift, I've heard it suggested that the strategy is going to now start to pick off Democrat programs on kind of 80-20 issues where most people agree with the Republicans and force Democrats to take extreme positions voting against common sense single issue items.
Look at what Donald Trump has again achieved, and you may not like it all, but look what he's done in the first 6 months. He has essentially shut the border. We have almost no illegal border crossings anymore. The numbers are down to about 6,000 a month. The peak of the Biden administration, they were running at 200. They were running about 200,000 a month. He has imposed these tariffs that he's done. Now he's backed off some of the more extreme ones, but the actual tariff effects of the effect of the tariffs that he has imposed so far amount to about an average 15% tariff rate on all U.S. imports. That was 3% before he came into office. He's taken extraordinary measures on the international front. He's done what presidents have not been able to do in the past, which is get NATO members to agree to spend much more on their defense. He's been the first president to strike against Iran in the last 50 years. That's the agenda, James. Now, you're absolutely right. Part of the continuing agenda and part of his success again so far is to have essentially marginalized the Democrats. Remember that election last year was pretty close. Trump likes to talk about it as a landslide. He won the popular vote by 1.5 percentage points, very narrow majorities in the House and the Senate. Democrats, no reason for the Democrats to be in the condition they're in. But he has managed, I think, through focusing on the issues, the kind of issues you talk about, illegal immigration, the transgender issue, getting America, making America sort of great again in the world, getting these tax cuts through, by putting the Democrats in a position where they seem to be adopting extreme positions. They're on the side of illegal immigrants. That's not popular. They're on the side of people who believe in that men should be allowed to play women's sports. So what you've got, and then on top of that, you've got the Democratic Party itself reaching for the extreme. You had the primary election of this mayor in New York, mayoral candidate in New York last week, Zoran Mamdani, who is basically described himself as a democratic socialist. The leading figures in the Democratic Party right now, James, are Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also describes herself as a socialist, and Bernie Sanders, who also describes himself as a socialist. So not only has Trump been able to achieve all this for his domestic and international agenda, he's been able to marginalize the Democrats, make them seem the extreme party, make them seem out of step with Americans. And exactly as you say, we can expect to see much more of that, I think, now over the next 6 months.